India is actively pursuing defense innovation and modernization through its Atma Nirbhar Bharat initiative, targeting indigenous production and reducing foreign dependence. The defense sector anticipates massive orders totaling around $138 billion over the next decade, with significant investments in aerospace, missiles, and artillery. While defense production has more than doubled in the last years, nearly tenfold, challenges remain in developing critical technologies and increasing private sector participation. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Analytics Insight podcast, where we talk about the ever evolving tech space. And I'm your host, Priya Dialani. True freedom in today's digital age requires technological sovereignty, not just political autonomy. Modern warfare is waged through software and cyberspace, with a handful of foreign companies controlling critical infrastructure like banks, railways, and power grids. This dependence creates serious vulnerabilities, as demonstrated when cloud services were recently cut off to an Indian company. Let's welcome Sunil Kar, CEO of Logic Fruit, to help us understand that bridging IT and indigenous embedded systems can foster environmental sustainability, digital equity, and social justice while preserving our rich cultural heritage. Hi, Sunil, how are you doing?
Thank you, Priya. I'm doing well.
Great. It's a pleasure to have you on a podcast today, Sunil. And I think we are going to touch down on a very critical aspect in our discussion today. But before, we get and dive deeper into our conversation, let's start by telling our listeners more about Logic Fruit. So if you could help us understand about the company, its specialization, it would be great.
Thank you, Priya, for the opportunity. Logic Fruit is a 15-year-old India-based semiconductor company doing business in the domestic defense sector as well as serving customers worldwide. We have highly specialized skills that cater to multiple different market segments. Truly, this was a company started in India by engineers for engineers. We understand semiconductors, we understand systems, and everything that goes between the two. We are proudly serving the India's defense sector while we are partnering with many customers worldwide, including in the United States in data center, telecommunications, defense, and many strategic industries. Our true strength lies in developing indigenous embedded platforms, and our semiconductor solutions are unique in the sense we take on some of the toughest and hardest technical problem that can be developed in India. We are absolutely committed to serving the customers in India, particularly Indian defense sector, and we are proud and privileged to have the opportunity to do so. We are 300 engineers strong and highly specialized skill sets that resides at Logic Fruit is quite unique, and not just in the Indian context but worldwide.
Thank you for that overview, Sunil. Really glad to know about Logic Fruit and your contribution in terms of making India a leader in the semiconductor industry. And of course, when we talk about indigenous embedded systems, it really sets the stage for a conversation today. Now that we have a clear picture of your organization's core focus, let's also dive a bit deeper into your journey, Sunil. You have around 30 years of experience driving business growth, innovation, and global operations. So, can you tell us more about yourself? How has your journey been till date? And what led you to start Logic Fruit, and what exactly is your role at the company today?
Thank you. First of all, I joined Logic Fruit only 2 weeks back as their president and CEO, although I have heard about Logic Fruit for 5 years now. The company has well established its reputation outside of India as a premier provider of FPGA and complex systems know how. And that's how I came to know about Logic Fruit. Of course, my journey started in the semiconductor industry in 1992. I moved from India to US to pursue my masters, and ever since then I have lived and worked in US as well as other countries including Japan. My background is purely in semiconductors, and I have seen many of the semiconductor technologies and applications evolve over the last 30 years. Semiconductors today is a strategic asset. It is not a luxury, but a basic necessity if you look at every single segment. And I see huge potential in India. And Logic Fruit has many of the unique talents that we can productize, we can monetize, and it will help us to develop a robust contribute to a robust domestic India semiconductor industry. And my vision is not just to make a domestic robust semiconductor sector contributions from Logic Fruit, but also make it a global player. Take our know-how, take our technologies, and market it in the world place in United States, Europe, Japan, Korea, etc. And I do believe we have all the key ingredients. And the question is, our opportunities will be only limited by our imaginations. And I'm very privileged to be part of Logic Fruit and back in India to work with the brilliant engineers of Logic Fruit. And I'm very optimistic in the near future, you will hear a lot from Logic Fruit and you will hear a lot of what are the things that we are going to do and we are contributing in further details.
Absolutely. Quite an impressive journey, Sunil. And of course, congratulations on this new role at Logic Fruit. I think your experience definitely ties into the company's larger vision, and it really highlights that strong leadership is definitely needed when it comes to driving innovation and impact. Speaking of that, India celebrated its 79th Independence Day in 2025. Yet, true freedom today extends beyond political sovereignty to technological autonomy. Now, we are in an era where wars are fought through cyberspace, software, even drones. India's dependence on foreign control operating systems or cloud services and even semiconductors poses serious risks to its national security and innovation capacity. Now, for example, cloud or AI services controlled by a few global companies could be switched off under a foreign government's diktat, which can paralyze some essential services in our country. So, what are your views on the current dependence on foreign technology in specific strategic sectors?
That's an excellent question. India, in my humble opinion, is no more a developing country. We have crossed that. We are very competitive across almost all sectors, if I may say so. But we are still dependent on foreign technologies in many core sectors. It's not that we don't have the capabilities, we do have the capabilities, but we have to take it a notch beyond what we have achieved so far. We have to accelerate our progress in defense, aerospace, telecommunications, cloud data center, AI markets. For us to achieve true strategic autonomy, we need to be self-reliant. I have seen firsthand in 2017 and 2018 in China as part of my business in my previous life, how much emphasis they were giving to their domestic semiconductor sector. And look, today they are highly competitive in the world marketplace. They're a few years behind. I truly believe there is a tremendous opportunity for us to take India to the next level. And I'm confident we will be there in the near future. We cannot rely on foreign technologies for our own needs in critical sectors. As you highlighted, some of the vulnerabilities that results from dependence on cloud service providers or key component technologies that we are procuring from abroad, particularly as it relates to defense and infrastructure sector. This is a pivotal moment for India. We have a lot of talented engineers, scientists. We do have a lot of intellectual property. We have a robust technology ecosystems, and there is tremendous potential for us to develop indigenous solutions. What we need now is a sustained investment in the R&D, a true public-private partnerships with active collaborations between industry and the government. As an Indian government emphasizes Atma Nirbhar Bharat and Logic Fruit being an Indian semiconductor company, we are truly privileged and proud to contribute to this vision, building homegrown technologies that will strengthen our national security, drive innovation, and position India as a global powerhouse, not just an Indian powerhouse serving the Indian sector, we dream to cater to the worldwide market from the technology that we develop inside India.
That's a very powerful and an insightful perspective, Sunil, and thank you for sharing that. And yes, I totally agree with you that India is no more a developing country. I think we have gone beyond that tag of, being a developing country, and it is steadily and gradually moving forward and ensuring that it is also having a competitive edge when it comes to competing with other countries. And I think it really highlights how interconnected yet vulnerable our strategic sectors can become when there's a heavy reliance on external technology. And I think it's interesting to see once, we become self-reliant completely, I think we can drive more triggered innovation at the same time and ensure better security and long-term sustainability. Building on that, I think, as we approach 2030, the year set as the target for achieving the SDGs, leveraging all available resources and knowledge systems to meet these goals have become paramount. This includes greater urgency to address gaps in integrating indigenous knowledge with IT to support those development priorities. Now, I think if we have those embedded systems within a rich heritage of sustainable practices and community based approaches, I think these systems can play a significant role in understanding and navigating the complexities of this interdependence and ensure that we are contributing to achieving those global sustainability objectives. So why is indigenization of embedded systems so critical for India's strategic sectors today, and what are certain advantages that they bring on the table?
As you already highlighted in the beginning, that we are living in a new world, and this new world order, it is not the physical security, it is the electronic security, the electronic systems, whether it is a telecommunications or cloud services. These are absolutely important, and not just from a security standpoint. I always tell, you take an offensive approach and a defensive approach, and the best defense is always offense. Innovation is only limited by imagination. We have the ability to lead in these areas, not just to protect. So, indigenization is not just for self reliance, but to be a key player in the world marketplace today. Embedded systems forms at the basic level the technological backbone, if I may say, for the defense platforms, aerospace systems, and vital telecommunication network, and many, many other critical national assets. So developing these systems within India with our own technology allows us to have full control over the architectures, security frameworks, customizations, upgrades, aligning us perfectly with our unique requirements. By eliminating our dependencies on foreign supply chain, we drive our own destiny, we control our own destiny. Local design and manufacturing will accelerate innovations, will ensure our technology are world class and competitive. At the same time, we will also make sure we reduce cost and foster a domestic sector that takes advantage of local labor force, local expertise, and bring them to the forefront of the global competitive world. Many people may not have heard about Logic Fruit Technologies. We are a highly innovative company. We have been contributing to developing many complex FPGA based as well as CPU, GPU based embedded systems targeted towards mission critical applications. And we have been playing our part, a small role, realizing India's Atma Nirbhar Bharat vision. Indigenization is not just about technological independence, it is about positioning India as a global leader in innovation, engineering, and strategic capability. We will do our best, we will strive to contribute as much as possible to making this vision a reality.
Absolutely, and I agree with you that we are currently living in an era or world where it's important that we move beyond the physical security and give more focus on electronic security. And definitely the push towards indigenization goes beyond technology. It's more about the resilience, security, and self-reliance that is needed to become a key player in the world market today. And I think, yes, once we are self-reliant enough to develop systems within India, I will have more and better control overall infrastructure and ensure utmost security, which will then help us move forward in achieving those goals that are laid down in terms of making India more capable and a strategic leader in the global market today. Moving ahead, there's the new policy that came up, the new science, technology, innovation policy, and it aims to bring about profound changes through short-term, medium-term, and long-term, mission mode projects by building a more nurtured ecosystem that promotes research and innovation on the part of both individuals and organizations. Of course, now the policy will promote technology self-reliance and indigenization to achieve the larger goal of Atma Nirbhar Bharat. And there's a two-way approach of indigenous development of technology, which will be adopted and focused upon in aligning with the national priorities, whether it's sustainability or social benefit and the overall resource management. So, what policy interventions or ecosystem enablers do you believe are most critical to accelerate this indigenization of mission critical technologies?
It is very, very important to accept that we must create an atmosphere that will promote innovation and imagination. Accelerating indigenization demands a comprehensive and a multi-pronged policy that will promote R&D within the private sector. So anything that can incentivize R&D activities in the domestic sector will boost innovations and resulting in innovations that not only serves our own needs but also can be used to export it to other markets. So encouraging a public private partnerships will further enable the co-development and rapid development of mission critical technology. If I may say, it's not just public private, this is government, public and private partnerships. We also need to simplify regulatory frameworks. We also need to simplify and streamline certification processes. This will reduce the time to market for the indigenous products, enhancing our competitiveness. Equally important is the establishment of a robust local manufacturing ecosystem that will include semiconductor fabrication, PCB productions, and also core IP development, which are key pillars of true technological self-reliance. For us to sustain long-term growth, dedicated skills development program and centers of excellence must be instituted so that we can build a strong, future-ready talent pipeline. Finally, export promotion policies are very important. That would empower Indian semiconductor companies to compete globally, not just strengthening our domestic ecosystem, but leverage it as a platform to play in the global marketplace as true innovations and technology leaders.
Definitely. And I think it really highlights how policy and ecosystem alignment can become the backbone of true technological self-reliance. And like you mentioned, when we're talking about R&D activities can boost innovation. I think while that is definitely needed in empowering more innovation, it's also about building, the atmosphere that you said that can help promote more inspiration and more ideas in terms of leveraging these emerging technologies and creating an environment where not just the public-private partnerships, but every stakeholder comes together, where there's collaboration, there's regulation, and all capabilities can come together seamlessly in making India more self-reliant. Of course, when we're talking India, I think it is important that it also shifts its focus from a service-centric IT model to a product first, deep tech driven economy. While India produces a large number of STEM graduates, there's a significant skills mismatch and a persistent brain drain of top talent. So, this exodus of talent weakens domestic innovation capabilities, and somehow it becomes a challenge for India to build and scale its own deep tech enterprises. So, how can India strengthen its talent pipeline in embedded systems, whether we're talking about chip design or system integration, to support this long term innovation of self reliance?
Very good question. India's talent pool is our greatest strength. I can attest to that. In my 30 years in the US, I scanned any semiconductor company in the US. Almost in everywhere, top talents were from India. They started in Indian universities and pursued higher studies and moved abroad. We don't have shortage of talent in India. We just need to nurture and give them a platform where they can leverage their training, their knowledge, and make meaningful contributions to products, to systems, to solutions. It is important for us to, as a private sector semiconductor company, to also contribute our part to the industry academic collaborations. Universities should align their curriculum to the evolving industry requirements. Partnerships with companies such as Logic Fruit would allow universities to know what are the true customer problems, what are the industry trends, challenges. At the same time, companies like Logic Fruit will also benefit from the academia on pursuing true research that will convert to actual innovations and products down the line. We must establish dedicated centers of excellence in the areas of chip design, complex technological systems development, and intellectual property. I will tell you one thing, hard tech is hard. When I say hard tech, we are talking about semiconductors, systems. Yes, it is hard, but we have the talent pool. We just need to provide them a platform in India so that talent gives shape to the products and systems that addresses our own need, but also promote and go to the world marketplace. We need the government support for these skill development programs, scholarships for advanced semiconductor studies, incentives encouraging the return of the skilled engineers and scientists so they can accelerate our development and innovation inside India. At Logic Fruit, we are very actively investing in continuous learning and upskilling programs for engineers. We have a very robust internship program where we take on engineering students, give them hands-on training, and at the end of the training program, we give full-time offers to many of these engineers. We need more of this system at a much, much larger scale. A strong future-ready talent ecosystem will form the foundation of India's technological self-reliance. And this will define our journey towards becoming a global semiconductor powerhouse. Let's face it, no one knows what future is. The best way to predict future is to build it.
Definitely, I agree with you, Sunil. And strengthening India's talent pipeline, which already, I mean, that's the greatest strength, but strengthening it more can definitely be the foundation for sustained innovation in this space. And it's just about providing them with the correct platform or the resources wherein they can have that hands-on exposure, and they can accelerate our journey towards self-reliance in semiconductors and embedded systems. So I think when we're talking about defense, I think India's push for defense, indigenization, and modernization is very vital for achieving that strategic autonomy, economic growth, and of course, a global defense leadership. So, last question for you, Sunil, is how do you envision India's defense and space technology ecosystem evolving over the next decade with a more increased focus on self reliance?
Allow me to say that the coming decade will mark India's transformation from a technology importer to a true technology creator in the defense and space sector. We are on the verge of a new era defined by our own design, our own large scale production of complex electronics, satellite systems, communication platforms, and many mission critical computing infrastructures. We are already doing that. Logic Fruit is involved in many of such programs that I am not at the liberty to publicly share with your audience today. The private sector, ranging from the dynamic startups to specialized semiconductors and embedded system companies, will increasingly contribute and complement our established defense organizations. We have some of the best scientists in these organizations. Together, we will drive innovations and self reliance across strategic domains. Emerging technologies such as AI, FPGA, programmable silicon, CPU, GPU based high performance computing, advanced signal processing, secure communications, will become central to India's defense and space ambition and capabilities. These innovations will not only enhance our mission efficiencies and security, but also propel India to a hub for advanced technological development. As Indian companies expand their presence in the global markets, we will witness a rise in exports of our defense and aerospace electronics, bringing in a very valuable foreign exchange and international recognition. Sustaining this growth will depend on building deep expertise in semiconductor chip design, complex embedded systems, and systems level integration. With a strong foundation of talent, innovation, and policy support, India is uniquely positioned to emerge as a true global supplier of secure, high performance technology for the defense sector, strengthening our national security while driving long term economic competitiveness.
Totally. And I think technological sovereignty rests on talent, tools, and trust. These three pillars are very important in securing in India's digital and strategic autonomy. Cultivating world-class talent drives indigenous innovation, while developing tools and infrastructure ensures self-reliance in critical technologies. And of course, establishing trust in secure systems protects data, critical services, and public confidence from external threats. And when all of this is combined with a strategic resource management and strong collaboration, these three pillars can transform India from a technology consumer to a global innovator. Well, thank you so much, Sunil, for taking out the time and effort to be on a podcast today and helping us understand that India's march toward technological independence must reflect the collective resolve that once secured political freedom. And the challenge lies not in capability, but in the overall national will. But with a mission driven approach, I think India can harness its talent to ensure self reliant, secure, and become globally competitive technological leader in the world market today. Thank you, Sunil, for your insights. It was lovely chatting with you.
Thank you, Priya.
Thank you so much. This is for our listeners. I hope you enjoyed today's discussion around indigenization of critical systems and how probably India can march towards the self-reliance of technological independence. Stay tuned for our upcoming podcast. Meanwhile, you can view all our previous podcasts on Spotify and other leading platforms. Thank you so much.